And I can't even tell you how many companies I've seen and I've thought, wow, that founder is very impressive. Wow, that company is very impressive. However, that founder is a complete fucking asshole and I'm not going to work with them. I need to build for 10 years with you. You need to be a good, decent human who's transparent, who's communicative.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Demo Day, the podcast for entrepreneurs and venture capitalists, where we demystify the culture of joining one of the top accelerators, incubators, or VC funds from around the world. I'm your host, Sean Goldfaden, and on today's episode, we'll be interviewing Draper from Halogen Ventures. Without further ado, let's get into Demo Day. Jesse, thank you so much for joining us for your second time on Demo Day.
Oh my God, I'm just honored to be here, Sean. So thank you for having me.
Now, Jesse, I know that the first time you were on the show, we were able to really talk about like your come up and kind of how you've navigated different industries to get to where you are today. But I always like to kind of come back to the why. And I know we spoke a little bit in our first episode, like, you could be doing so much with your time. You could be an investor, you could be, spending more time with family, but you've chosen to really like sit in the pocket of investing for over a decade. And I'm curious, like, what is it about startups and tech and backing founders that has you so passionate?
That was, who knows, way back when. You were saying 2021. Oh my goodness, it's been quite a few years.
Yeah.
6, 5. I'm like, it's 2026. I need to do better math. It's newly 2026. I think my why has definitely shifted over the last 5 years. My why now, it started, when I started the fund back in 2016, 17, we were one of the only funds focused on investing primarily in female founders, and people thought I was so insane. People thought I was crazy. I can't tell you the number of meetings still today where they say, is that really a big enough market? And now I'm able to say, well, actually, we have 80 companies and 6 are unicorns to date. I'm really proud of our portfolio. I think my why started with gender equality and seeing something different and making sure that women were not excluded. That turned into investing in more diverse companies and making sure that we're thinking about age, race, and gender at the earliest stages, because that's how you change how the world looks. But our most recent fund, our third fund that we're actively deploying, is focused on future of family. How do you support the family at work, at home, the physical health of the family, and the financial health of the family? And so we look at, healthcare, a lot of childcare, and we started this because I just looked at the world, and I have 3 kids, and I said, childcare is unaffordable. I mean, what if this was our focus for a fund? Because we looked over our last 2 funds, and both of them, we'd probably done a dozen investments in childcare related companies like Upwards, the largest network of childcare facilities in the country, 66,000 in-home vetted childcare facilities. And those are much more affordable than your typical, private preschool or something, because they're in-home vetted daycares. We were in that. We were in Hop, Skip, Drive, a transportation service for childcare and children. And we looked at that and we said, wait, these companies are doing really well. What if we doubled down? Similarly to the female founder focus, people said, is that a big enough opportunity? At the time, I think it was Sheila Marcello, one of our investors and also the CEO of Care.com. I think she had done some study or something and realized it was a $548 billion opportunity. Apparently that wasn't big enough to some of the investors we were meeting with. So we went and did a whole study called our Future of Family study. And we realized this is a $7.5 trillion opportunity. And we are, just doubling down. And it's been going incredibly well. It's everything from education for kids all the way to Babylist, which is our $1 billion baby registry.
Now, one of the things that investors, I think, pride themselves in over time is their ability to start spotting patterns and being able to recognize, even when people are saying it's too small, no, I'm seeing the patterns. And I'm curious, when you think about yourself, what do you feel that you notice that others in your industry don't? Or maybe you said another way, like, what do you feel is your superpower as an investor? Not that you're, you know, like, you know, the end all be, but when you think about like really what your core superpower is, what comes to mind?
My personal core superpower is I think I am a people reader, and I've learned that it's not just about reading people anymore. It's also about being able to work with them. And I can't even tell you how many companies I've seen and I've thought, wow, that founder is very impressive. Wow, that company is very impressive. However, that founder is a complete fucking asshole, and I'm not going to work with them. And so I don't care, how good the company is. I need to build for 10 years with you. And so that's really important to me. You need to be a good, decent human who's open, who's transparent, who's communicative. And I think that's what I see. But pattern recognition is everything in VC. I mean, I can take you back to raising my first fund. You meet with these institutional investors, and often, my first fund was 10.4 million. And it was when I was raising that, these institutional investors were probably too big for us. And they say things to you like, I need to get to know you for 5 to 10 years. And I'm thinking, God, I'm not going to need you in 5 to 10 years. I hopefully will have found my investor base and we'll be building off of that. But I get it now because they need to see that you have positive patterns. And honestly, a lot of my peers have not, stuck with it, have fallen out, haven't raised their second or third funds, especially over the last couple of years. They've been really hard for VC, and we've just stuck with it. I'm so proud of the team I've built. You've worked really closely with my partner, Ashley Bala.
Mm-hmm.
I have another partner, Jennifer Kwan Mandelbaum. Jay Kwan the Bomb is what we call her.
Jay Kwan, shout out.
She's in New York. And, you can't do anything alone. And I think when you look now past through our portfolio, the patterns are there. We have really solid founders, incredible founders who are good humans building thoughtful companies in every which way. So I think patterns are everything. That said, you have these sort of green lights and then these sort of red lights, and my red lights are, or I guess red flags is what we call them on our team, is patterns that sometimes I have to turn to my team and say, is this a scar I have because of a previous company we invested in that didn't go well? And that doesn't necessarily mean that it won't go well in this next, opportunity, but like fashion e-commerce. I mean, I will not touch that entire industry right now. It's really tough. I think when we invested in a whole bunch of fashion e-commerce companies, it was 2017. It was the D2C boom. And we still have some incredible ones. You have Sarah Flint, this high-end working women's shoe company that's super comfortable. We have really amazing companies, Third Love, billion-dollar bra company. I think I just gave your wife a gift card to. And we have a organic baby clothing line, Monica and Andy. So there's some that have really outlived 2017, if you will. But I look at those companies now. It's a tough business. It's a tough, high-growth business. And we're looking for high growth companies at the end of the day. And you're seeing these consumer businesses go from these D2C booms to we're really looking for companies that are also heavily in retail, or you need both. It's a balance, but we want a stable business. And I think fashion in particular, I just have had so many tough experiences with building companies. So I'm terrified of that. So I have my team look at the fashion e-commerce companies because I have too many scars there.
Now, for junior investors, maybe they're getting in and this is the first investment they've made. Sometimes e-commerce is really easy to grip your brain around because you're like, oh, I love the product. It's so great. It's really easy to envision being a part of it. But as you said, there's kind of a behind the scenes to e-commerce. For people that aren't familiar or haven't gone through some of the battles, like what are some of the blind spots within e-commerce or investing in e-commerce that if you were to almost like give yourself advice starting over, that you would kind of help people understand a bit more about just the ecosystem or the industry?
I think when I think about it now and through experience, you don't want just the D2C revenue stream. You at least, even if we're investing at that point, you need to at least have a plan, have talked to some potential retailers, or have a different B2B opportunity that we're not seeing. I think multiple revenue streams creates the best companies. But I would look at this in terms of industries and then criteria. Like, beauty is wild because beauty, it breaks all the rules. We're in these incredible companies. I mean, we're so lucky. We are in Molly Sims' beauty business. It's called Wise, like wisdom. It's spelled YSE. And it is just going gangbusters. She's doing so well. She's an amazing founder. And with her, I watch her and you just see beauty breaks all the rules. While it's a completely saturated industry, it's not competitive. They do partnerships together. Beauty founders aren't competitive with other beauty founders because there's a million beauty products and women want a million beauty products. It's not one thing is going to take the full market share. And so that's a really unique industry where in terms of e-commerce today, some of the things we're seeing that works is you do need a thoughtful influencer attached or multiple influencers because that's the way the world works. You can't just launch a beauty business, unfortunately, from a mom and pop shop. I wish you could. You could. It just won't be a high growth industry, that a VC would back. But maybe start your own beauty business as a small business and, think more locally and grassroots. But influencer-driven commerce is so critical to a lot of our success with a lot of our businesses. So beauty is wild. I just keep watching and I'm like, this is an insane industry because every other industry is like, don't tell them my proprietary secrets, and they're so careful. And beauty, it's like, yeah, we compared that lipstick from one brand with this blush from another brand. And like, it's insane to me, and they all can take part of the market share and they all love each other. Maybe not love all the time, but like they do, and then we have this other beauty business, Tinted, the first Southeast Asian beauty brand, in Ulta Beauty, and she's doing incredibly well too, and she's an influencer. So we look at influencer driven beauty right now very thoughtfully. It's hard for me to get on board with something that doesn't have an influencer attached in beauty unless there is something super proprietary you've created, some new formula that no one's ever heard of. I remember when vitamin C came out, we looked at a lot of interesting vitamin C products because that was unique and different. Now everyone has a vitamin C serum. I'm sure I'm speaking your language, Sean. I can talk beauty all day. And then the other industry I think about in terms of D2C is looking at, well, I'm thinking actually specifically about one of our companies that I think you guys are doing some work with now, Flex, which is an amazing business. It's an alternate tampon device. It's a menstrual disc. It's the number one on the market. In Walmart, Walgreens, you can go get it. It's healthier. It's a healthier product. Highly recommend. And they've sold over 200 million. So you don't have to listen to me. You can talk to all those people. But they are an amazing business. And what's unique about that and the reason that company is a real winner is because Lauren created a proprietary technology. This was a new product. At the time, I had already sold a tampon business. And it was, I always feel weird saying I sold it. Obviously, the founder sold it, but I was an investor. It was Talia. It was called This Is L, and they sold to P&G. And at that time, when you sell a tampon company and you're focused on women, you get pitched at least 100 tampon companies. And Lauren was doing something different. So I knew that she had a unique piece of the market share. She also had proprietary technology. So if there's something you can protect in a saturated industry, then I think that's what I'm looking for. That's what gets me over the fence in terms of CPG today.
Yeah, no, that's really good feedback. And, your career, both from the media side as well as to the investor side, you've had so many companies pitch you, right? I mean, I could just imagine that from everything you've done. And I'm curious, what are the most underrated qualities that you see in successful founders? What makes you kind of lean in and say, oh yeah, this founder has it?
It's funny because the first thing I thought was what initially turns me off. And it's kind of a funny thing. Sometimes founders, even at the earliest stages, get a big head and think everyone wants to meet with me. I must be doing something really cool. And we, when I started the fund, we were just meeting with founders. Now we have a process. And our process is, if you're interesting enough to us that we want to meet with you, you come in on a pitch day. We have pitch days all the time. They're like every 2 weeks. Like there's always a pitch day coming up.
Interesting.
And we'll have 10 companies come in that someone on my team has flagged. And we'll just see them all back to back and kind of decide like, okay, do they fit into our portfolio? Could we add a lot of value here? Do we think it's going to be $1 billion business? We go through our like 100-item checklist that's always a little different for each company. I can't tell you like the number of founders. And when I say the number, I say it's 1 to 2% of founders who say, oh, I'm not going to come into a pitch day. And the pitch day, it's on Zoom. It's 30 minutes. It's not a big deal. And you get the entire team's attention.
Wow.
So why wouldn't you come in? It's 30 minutes of your time. It's not that big a deal. And I can't tell you, these like 1 to 2% of founders are like, I'm not going to come into your pitch day. I want to have a one-on-one meeting with Jesse, Ashley, or Jennifer. I am that important. And I'm like, yeah, I get you're important. We're all important. Like, every human on earth is important. But this is our process and it works. We do that. And then if we think it's interesting, we double down. We get back to you in a week or two if we're moving forward or not. And we go through our whole process. But it's really funny that some founders, even at the earliest stages before they even have a product, will turn down a pitch day. And I don't know, I'm sure a small percentage of that is nerves, but I'm like, this is the thing. This is the process. You're not any more special than everyone else's 15 minutes where they get to, pitch their dream to us.
Is it part of it gives you some insight into personality, but also like, oh, they're not going to fight for that. They're not going to drive to the customer. Like they're not going to go is it a way of showcasing that they're not like taking it so seriously, or do you think that it's more tied to their personality?
I think it is. It's a little like, it's like, you wanted to get on the calendar. We can get you on the calendar on Friday, and you're saying that this is not, it's like, you want to get on the calendar. This is how you get on the calendar. And I'm sure there's one-offs where we meet someone at a conference and then we're already like more connected or what have you, but that's our process. And people who turn that down, that's already sort of
immediate
a mark
red flag,
against them. And it's similar to when I look at our portfolio, we actually just did this ranking thing. We do it at the beginning of every year. We try to do it biannually, but things get busy, and we go through our whole portfolio of 80 companies and we rank them and we say like, off to the races. They don't need our help. They call us if they need us. We kind of have these different categories and there's like 4 categories. And we looked at our, I'm going to say like lower tier category. And actually, honestly, some of those companies are even doing like 8 million. They're just not high growth companies, but there's like 8 in that category. And we went through and I said, what do all of these founders have in common who have essentially not been the most successful in our business? And there's other reasons, but I'd say number 1, it's founder behavior. And number 2, it's transparency of communication. For some reason, they don't want to share information, which can be a huge red flag for a lot of businesses. But they have had a pattern where from the beginning, they didn't share information. We had one, and so we always say we have this onboarding call with our founders, here's our expectations. You need to send us a quarterly update. If you don't want to share everything because we happen to not be on the board of this one, just send us 5 press updates or just like interesting things you did or what have you. You need to be held accountable. We had one founder who we invested, we did the onboarding call. They knew the expectations, which is like not a huge deal. You could probably shoot us a text, honestly. And we just want to know, what did you do this quarter? And especially in those early stages. And she basically didn't communicate with us for almost a year. Then came back to us and we're emailing saying, what's going on? Oh, I'm busy. Oh, I might close this. Like it's sort of very quick, not super transparent. She comes back a year later. We get on a call with her. She says, oh yeah, no, I'm like out of money. And I go, okay, well, we told you, we tried to get a hold of you. We told you, to communicate with us. We can't help you if you're almost out of money. And I said, here's what you do. You get on a call with all your investors and you say, I'm in a pickle. I need help. What do you recommend I do? I'd love to just throw together, if there's something here, I'd love to just throw together a pocket of money to just get me another, 9 months till we figure it out. Otherwise, we'll do a nice exit, what have you. So we come up with this whole plan. I don't hear from her for another year. She comes back and she goes, so I'm out of money and I think I'm going to do that thing. I go, what thing? She goes, the
Where
Zoom call with everybody. I was like, so I was thinking a year ago, like I was like, I think I got out the calendar and I was like, that was a year ago. And it's just ridiculous. It's like, okay, you're clearly either not working or I don't know what is going on, but your investors are so behind you. All they want is for you to do well. So you have to communicate to an extent with them about what's working, what's not. Also, you certainly don't have everyone in your Rolodex. You need to get in touch with P&G. You need to get in touch with whoever, get on a call or send an update to all your investors and put that as an ask. It's such a simple thing. And I'm sure the intros will come, or you now have this little army of investors who will be out networking and they'll be like, oh, actually I have a company who needs to meet with P&G,
That's so interesting you say that. I brought this up a bunch. Even Ethan is like, dude, stop talking about this. But we had TX on the show from Fika.
Love TX.
And TX was talking about how they did a study of all of their portfolio companies to try to determine like what was the pattern across like their top 1% quartile. And it didn't matter that they were repeat founders. It didn't matter, if this is a founder that had already exited in the past. The only correlation they found was founder responsiveness. That for their top 1%, it was they are responsive to emails, they're communicative, and it sounds like it's almost the inverse for you. When you look at your worst performing companies, It's always tied to founder behavior, founder responsiveness, things like that.
We actually say that all the time. I mean, I look at Alex Israel from Metropolis, our multi-billion-dollar company, or Natalie Gordon from Babylist, or even the Skimm girls, we just sold that company. They would get back to me within 5 minutes. I mean, truly within 5 minutes. These are the busiest humans of all time. You're running $1 billion company. You are a busy human. And I'm no longer an investor connector. I'm an investor blocker. All of the sudden, I actually just had a call with Natalie from Babylist because I said, I know things are going well because I'm an investor, but I also know things now are going incredibly well because I just got 6 requests in the last 2 weeks to be introduced to you. I am now a blocker. What are your 3 priorities? What would be helpful? What wouldn't be helpful? How do I save your time? Because I want you to take this baby all the way. And so, you become this different kind of communicator with them and you've built this trust over time. But yeah, no, I mean, I completely agree with that data based on our portfolio.
Now, when you start to hone in on a niche, let's just say, for example, like future of family, I would imagine, like you said, tampon type company, but we have there's so many and there's a lot more competition. And so let's just assume that they're following they show up to the pitch day, they do the right, like there's not any pre-red flags, but now you've got 2 founders, similar companies, and one just has it and one, there's just something in your stomach. What are some of the red flags that come up during like a pitch day where like the data's good, the team seems good, but there's something in your gut that's feeling like, I don't think I want to work with them? Sometimes I think that founders can almost like go in, they're so nervous. They don't even realize that they're giving off some of these vibes. So what are some of the things that you look for during pitch meetings that you would recommend founders be more aware of when they're pitching?
Yeah, I mean, I would answer that in a couple of different ways, but when they're pitching, we really we pitch too, we know what it's like, and we really try to make you feel at ease. I think even any founders we've turned down would say, oh yeah, they really like make you feel calm. And we say, you have the floor. Like, a lot of them will say, I'm really nervous. And I'll say, don't be nervous. This is your time. Don't stress about it. If we go over, it's okay. I mean, this is their moment to share everything. And I always give them an opportunity at the end. What didn't you get to share? What don't we know about you that we should know? And I think that's helpful for founders who are super nervous because I have that moment where I'm like, oh, shoot, I should have told them this and this and this, So I think it's really important that as an investor, it's like you're in a privileged position. Like, again, don't be an asshole. These people are pitching their dreams. And even if you don't agree that this dream is $1 billion business, inspire, like make them keep building. I mean, entrepreneurs are just the salt of the earth. They're the most important people in this world. They're building, they're creating businesses, they're turning an idea into thousands of jobs. So I look at it like I don't mind if they're nervous. I really try to get in there and get to the full opportunity. Also, if I had two businesses that were the same, which doesn't happen often on those pitch days, they're usually very varied. Sometimes you'll see themes. I remember one year we had like 10 collagen-related companies. Collagen you drink, collagen you put on your face. I was like, something's going on with collagen. This is wild. If you have two, though, if you believe in a market, you're going to invest in all of them. You're going to invest in all of those. You can't sit on the boards of all of those, but you're going to invest in all of those. If you're like, I know that there is a solution for this weird trash composting thing, I'm going to go invest in all of those. So that's one kind of investor. We've done that maybe where like 2 or 3 businesses are in one space. But we're usually looking for like the unique one. And I think when I think about green flags for me are definitely openness, coachability. They hear all the ideas, but they still have the vision and they know they're running the show and they don't get confused by everyone else's ideas. They think, would that work? I know my customer best. Yes. Or I just heard the same thing 3 times from customers. I should probably change something there, where they're open. They don't think they're the smartest person. I can learn from you. You can learn from me. No one has all the answers in the world, not even, Elon. And I think there's opportunities to learn from them. We had a pitch yesterday and it was this company and she's like, my whole team's stoked about it. They're so excited. And it's something with fish. And I show up. We'll probably have invested by the time this airs. So I can talk about it, but something with fish. I get there, my team's excited, and we've never our team's always pretty on board. It's usually very clear in the pitches. And also pitch day, we give them another opportunity. If we're interested enough, we say, okay, you have to meet one of us. We have Miami, New York, LA, San Diego. We need to meet you in person. We no longer invest through Zoom. Anyway, back to this pitch. It's this like fish thing. And it's like fish, and they collect all the fish that are, I don't know, they're overpopulating the waters, whatever. It's fish. They do something with the fish. And then she's like throwing out things saying, like the zebra oysters. And I go, I don't know zebra oysters. But the good news is, zebra oysters. I do not. And they're the expert in their business. But I also am like, for me, those were a lot of green flags. Super unique technology, I'm not going to tell you what it does. Actually, when's this airing?
Probably in the next week to 2 weeks.
Okay, so I won't tell you exactly what it's called and stuff because we're gonna take the rest of the round. So, and I'm very competitive in that sense. I won't share until it's done. It's not done until it's done.
Don't watch this.
I'm don't this fish thing. So, but I'm like, I don't need to be the expert on fish. I can call people who are more experts on fish. I asked a question about fisher. I said, what are the regulations around overfishing this area? And she goes, oh, are you a fisher? And I go, I have fished. I don't know if that constitutes being a fisher. I think you're a fisher and you're a fish expert. But she's doing this really cool thing and she's selling ingredients from all the fish and all the zebra mollusks or whatever they are. And I just was like, 1, unique. 2, she's awesome. And she's doing something super weird that she's so excited about and so passionate about. And then when we asked her, we always want to know you can grow this $1 billion business. And I do find founders often who they see the $50 million business, they see the $100 million business. But if you can't build the $1 billion business around this, I mean, in VC, our returns, it's not worth it for us because our model, we only make money if you build $1 billion value business at least. And so she builds this crazy $1 billion business that I never expected from fishing, fish, all the things. And she's also open, she's respectful, she's kind, she's building in a unique state for this. She sees the opportunities in the other states. She sees the whole picture. She sees the international play. I think those are all green flags for me. She's very optimistic. I mean, you can't invest in a negative oriented founder who only sees the worst case scenario. I've done that before. We had this one founder, it was probably the last time we had the podcast. We did a whole bunch of Zoom investments, and we no longer do that because I remember meeting this one founder for the first time, and I went back to my team and I said, it's going to go under. She's scared of everything. And if you're scared of everything as a founder, you need to be you need to be able to like walk through walls, walk through fire, breathe fire, just build, who cares? No one's going to get in your way. And so if you meet a founder who is scared of everything, which I didn't pick up on Zoom, that's the problem. You can't invest via Zoom. You really need to meet them. Like that can be an initial, piece of it, which is why we do these pitch days. We can get through more founders, but then you have to meet one of us. And we're very accessible. So I think you have to be in VC. So we take pitches through all the social mediums, Anyway, I digress. I was focused on the fish thing because I'm very excited about it.
Well, I'm equally excited for you, and I can't wait to see it get released. One of the questions that I had is around what to do when you receive a no. So a lot of the job as an investor is, sometimes it's just not a good fit and it's an easy no, but I would imagine sometimes it's tough, and a lot of the times it's tough. And I could, also imagine sometimes people take the no and do something with it, and others take the no and cause angst or anxiety, or they try to explain all the reasons why you shouldn't have said no. And so I'm curious, like when a founder receives a no from a VC, what should their immediate next step be? And how should founders act when they don't receive an investment, in your opinion?
I mean, I would say we always, if you come to our pitch day, we try to say no within the week. We try to say no as soon as possible. We don't want to waste your time. And we'll give a thoughtful answer. And I actually have gotten a lot better at something I've been working on just as a leader in general. And it's also a time saver for me. On the call, if I see a red flag, I'll initially say, I'm concerned that you only have one customer and there's not enough out there. And so then I'm able to follow up and say, I did some research and it turns out there really are only 3 customers in this space. So if you only have one of them, you need a lot more opportunity in terms of customers here, and I'll write that and I'll say, please, I always say, please keep us posted on your progress. I'm sure you'll kill it. I'm sure I'm wrong. And I can't wait to hear how well you did in 6 to 12 months, if it's something we want to kind of track. Because there's some that we shut down fully, like it doesn't make sense for our portfolio. And then there's some that will say, we want to see what you're doing in 6 to 12 months, feel free to keep us posted. I have invested multiple times. I want to say 20% of our portfolio I have tracked. And so if you're one of the and I can tell you the population of the people who write back a really nasty email to a no, they do not do well and they are not successful founders. The best ones you get back are like, do you have any extra feedback? Do you have any thoughts around this? You mentioned, this person. Can you introduce me to them? And usually in that moment, I'm very happy to make that introduction. Yeah. And then I love it. I mean, I invest in women, so I just have to state that. But I go occasionally to these female founder events and I speak at these female founder events. It's sort of like putting all of your super fans in one room.
I was going to ask that.
And I've said no to 99% of them. That's what it feels like often. And the ones who come up and say, I want to tell you how I've been doing, I get really excited about, because that just says so much about a human, where it's like, yeah, it didn't even bother me. You said no. People say no. You can't pick everybody. And I want to tell you, since we pitched you, we have 3 new customers. We have, this enormous business partnership. We're going to be on the Today Show, whatever it is. And that, I think, just shows a good human, shows a good leader, shows a great entrepreneur who's continuing to grow and nothing gets them down. It just goes off their back. And And those I love. Like, come up, say hi, tell me how you've been doing, but you can't be angry about it. No.
Yeah, I was wondering if you felt or over time developed this feeling of extra pressure. Because it's like on one side, you're like, hey, I'm disrupting the mold. We're investing more females, more women, like more equality. And then as that progresses, I could imagine them being like, well, come on, Jesse. It's like,
I'm a
why?
woman.
Yeah, like
I
I thought, and that
it almost gets easier to say no. And my team, actually, when I have people join the team, one of the first things I do is I say, you got to say no to everybody this week. And now they almost are like, I'm going to say no because I know you're busy, so it's like fine. And everyone gets really good at saying no. I think it's a really good skill set, and you can't say yes to everybody. You can't. We don't have enough capital. I wish we did. LPs, I wish we did. We could say yes to everyone. But yeah, a lot of women do come and they say, we're focused on future of family. I'm a woman. I love that this is a female team. And first of all, I love those things because they have done their research on us. And I think that's also very important. But yeah, we can't invest in everyone. If the business doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense.
What advice do you have for founders when building their early team? Or another way of asking is, what is a blind spot that you believe many founders undervalue or miss altogether?
We're doing a deal right now with a founder who is like a former influencer and producer. And she came to me and she said, I have learned I'm not an operator. I need an operator. And I was like, that's awesome. She knows exactly what her skill set is, and she's looking for an incredible operator. And, she knows what the holes in her skills are. And I think the best founders, when you're hiring that early team, don't think you know everything. I mean, I do believe like fake it till you make it, figure out whatever you can, especially if you don't have the capital to hire. But go meet the smartest people you can who know the things that you don't know and ask them a million questions. If you want to hire them then or eventually, get them super excited about what you're doing. And they'll start helping you even when they're not on the payroll because they'll be excited about what you're building. You may end up finding someone who will work for equity for a minute. And I think go fill those holes in your skill set. Never think you're the smartest person. I can tell you at the earliest stages and at the latest stages, I have seen founders who thought they knew everything. And it is detrimental. At the latest stages, it was one of the worst sort of companies I've ever seen. They had a public company on the board. They had a really kind of amazing boardroom, and they would occasionally hire someone. And if they felt threatened by them because they were managing their finance, and someone said, oh, they're doing such a great job as your CFO, the founder would say, well, I mean, I'm better at the finance. And they would fire them, and then they would take over the finance. And then they'd see the same thing happen on the tech team. They'd fire the tech team and say, no, I'm back in the tech now, so everything's better. It's like, you can't be good at all of those things. And it was like they were threatened by smart people. Like, you can't be threatened by smart people. There are smart people. You need to be able to work with smart people. And people who are much smarter than you build the best businesses.
When you think about your journey as an investor, what is something that you believed about being an investor for way too long that ended up not being true or not being the way that you thought it would be? And what I like about this question is that you have an extended view of what it's like to be an investor because you grew up in a family of investors. And so you kind of got to see it, but then you started to get into it. What's something that you believed that now, having gone 10 plus years in the industry, you've really learned is not really true?
I think I grew up, I'm a fourth generation venture capitalist. And I think it's important to get that out of the, just say it. So, because then you go and research me and you're like, oh, she got into this so easily. I didn't, guys. I went and I started a company, didn't do great. And then I started my own fund, which was very hard. I think what I didn't see my dad go through, first of all, my dad worked incredibly hard. I'm so proud of him. And I saw how hard he worked. He was always networking. He was always, still today, always like hustling for the best deals. I think something I would say I've learned from him is you can't just invest in LA. You can't just invest in New York. You have to invest everywhere, all across the country, all around the world. That's how you find the best deals. You meet as many people as possible. And I think I didn't realize then how important it is to be accessible to the founders. And it gets to a point where you can't be too accessible to everybody. You do need to have some sort of process because there's thousands and thousands and millions of entrepreneurs out there, and I'd love to meet with all of you. But I think you need to look elsewhere. You can't have 5 friends who send you deals. And I think that's something my dad was always very, very good at. I didn't quite realize at the time that's what he was doing, but that's how he found Skype. That's, how he found, like, in Estonia, that's how he found, Baidu in China. Like, you have to go to other places. And I think I've learned a lot of people are afraid of travel. It's very interesting. And if I have an LP interested in another state, I'm there. I'm on a plane. You got to meet with them. You have to spend time with them. So I think going outside of your network, constantly be networking, you can't stop.
Now, you talked a bit about having to get out of LA and potentially even out of the state. And in prepping for this podcast, I learned a lot that you guys are doing business in Alabama. And I was like, oh, I'm curious to learn more about, like, how did you guys kind of get involved? What are you most excited about? And maybe you could just bring our audience into, this is an example of how you've kind of moved out of just the local LA and starting to find other pockets of the US to invest in.
Sean, this has been wild. Like, truly, this Alabama thing has been wild. And to be fully transparent, we were fundraising for 2 years. It was a very difficult market, and we just had to get there. We looked everywhere. And I turned to Ashley and Jen, and I said, there's this SSBCI funding you can apply for in some states. I want to apply to all 50. And they're going to kill me for telling this story. Turns out it's 52, Puerto Rico and DC, just FYI. We were only applicable for about 5 because basically states get this funding and they can use it towards what they think is important to their state. Alabama was one of them. And we applied, and they loved our Future of Families thesis. And they moved pretty fast. They were really excited about our fund, and they invested in our fund a very large check. It is essentially, we have a fund for Alabama. We have been investing in Alabama. Now, here is the irony. We are 3 city girls. None of us had been to Alabama before. We didn't know what we were going to get, but most of us live in California, and I think there is this preconceived notion thing about Alabama. Specifically, it's like the coast and Alabama, it's a red state. People think really like they have these preconceived notions. I'm sure I had them. Then I went to Alabama. I could tell you about the geography, the topography, all the accelerators, all the action going on in Alabama. I cannot tell you how excited I am that we have this opportunity. It has transformed how we invest, how we think about building in the world. There are amazing founders there, and it's not just in one city. We have invested in Huntsville, Birmingham, Mobile, my favorite place in the world now. It's so gorgeous. And we're on our way to Dothan. They're launching this new ag tech thing there. And we've thrown pitch competitions. I actually brought my dad to one of them, and it's been amazing to see. They have 50 Fortune 500 companies represented. 2 are based there. Manufacturing's incredible. In Huntsville, the National Space headquarters are moving to Huntsville, Alabama now. Aerospace is huge. Cybersecurity. It's one of the fastest growing cities in the country, and it's so gorgeous. Also, I highly recommend, if you're ever driving from Birmingham to Montgomery, to go to the Alabama Safari Park. It is the coolest thing. It is like, I've been on a real safari, and I'm telling you, it's better. It was so fun. So I'm a huge fan of Alabama.
No need to go to Africa.
Don't
Just
go
to Alabama.
There's no predators. So that's the good thing. But it's been an education. It's been very humbling. There are wonderful people there, and they have, we thought we were going to kind of show up. First, we went and we said, okay, let's go meet with a bunch of founders and figure out what they have, what they're missing, and how we can help. Because, if you're building out any ecosystem, which we've done in other cities for sure, we haven't done it across a whole state. This is definitely a first for us. But say, we build out a whole ecosystem in Dallas, you plug into like any accelerators there, you try to go to all the pitch days, and you meet with universities. The universities is where the talent is spun out. So first we met with the universities, we met with as many founders as we could. We heard a few things and we tried to kind of like navigate what they needed. And we're still trying to lobby for some change there. What we didn't realize is Condoleezza Rice, who's from Alabama, also Tim Cook, CEO of Apple, from Alabama. I could just list off the celebrities from Alabama now. Condoleezza Rice in 2020 did a huge study, you can Google it, on how to reinvigorate and innovate in Alabama. It's a 150-page study, and it tells you, it kind of made a whole plan for what Alabama needed, because at that time, they had had a few big exits. When we went in downtown Alabama, there's like 2 big buildings, and one says some bank, I think it's PNC or something, and then one says Shipt, sold to Target for $550 million in 2017. And Ashley and I, my partner, were standing on the roof of the Elliton Hotel in downtown Birmingham. And it was like our first night. And we looked and I was like, we invested in a competitor of Shipt. There is hope here. And then we started meeting with incredible founders. Birmingham's great for life sciences and software. Huntsville, like I was mentioning, for aerospace. I mean, we found all different industries all across the state. But because of this study, they were already 5 years in to redeveloping and investing and innovating in Alabama. So we've partnered with Innovate Alabama, who is making so much incredible change there. And we've already invested in 6 companies, and we're going to be doing 14 more in the next year in Alabama. And so we have this separate thing for Alabama. Now, what I would say that I never anticipated was all of the sudden my other 80 companies started calling us. And they were like, so I see you're doing all this stuff in Alabama. We don't know how to tackle that market. We're actually looking for a new manufacturer. Like, we were looking at Huntsville. Do you think that's a good idea? Actually, our best-selling Sephora store is in Birmingham, Alabama. Maybe we should do an event there. I mean, these are multiple companies now it's become a huge asset to our portfolio. And then by accident, I talk to people in California specifically who are like, why would you do these things in Alabama? It's really crazy, the world today. And now I say, have you been to Alabama? And it's like we've become this accidental, I feel like we're becoming a peacemaker or something. And I'm like, come do business in Alabama. They're fantastic. We love them.
Yeah. I mean, for anyone that's never been, I was at the Gulf Shores of Alabama.
Yes.
It's among the most beautiful places I've ever seen. It's like Hawaii meets Southern vibes. So big Alabama fan over here.
I mean, a kangaroo, like they shut down traffic because a kangaroo like ran away from some zoo or something.
Yeah, the safari.
Yeah, probably from the safari. I mean, it's exciting there.
Now, within this future of family, I know you spoke about it at the very beginning of the podcast, but what's got you so excited about it? I think like one of the things that's so exciting for me and impressive is like VCs rarely get the roses of having to evolve and iterate and try and learn and, like seeing your evolution. I'm curious, like, what is it about future of family that has you so excited right now? What do you think is like the opportunity that people maybe are missing or not giving, as much attention to? And I think, it will just set those entrepreneurs up that are in this space to know more about you. Like, what is it about this, kind of future of family that's got you so excited?
I mean, in Alabama, the first investment we made was in a child care company. And I think that for me, like, it builds infrastructure in a city, in a state. I think it's really, really important today. Childcare is unaffordable for 99% of society. I mean, you have a 5.5-year-old. Mm-hmm. It is unaffordable. It doesn't make sense. And I think that's what we were focused on, because you have all these nonprofits, you have these NGOs, they're not doing great for the childcare, community. And I was like, wait, we can solve a lot of these problems with technology. We have this company, Binti, that if you're adopting, they basically place children in both adoptive and foster homes. And that was all being done by hand until Binti came and started selling into all the state's social services agencies. And so now they have technology that better matches children with families. I mean, these social service agents would have their, did I say social? Yeah, that's social services agents would have these stacks of papers that they were matching, and their office was in their car. And, I think we can build a better infrastructure for society by investing in childcare and services and products that are for profit and help the world go around. We have everything from a credit card, which is Kina Rewards, that you can, it's sort of like a healthcare card where if you pay tuition and all your childcare payments on this credit card, you get great rewards for childcare and childcare services. We have that all the way to, I think I mentioned Hop, Skip, Drive, that's transportation for kids. So we're looking at it that way, and holistically, how can we help serve society, make money doing this, and solve a problem permanently versus with these little spot fillers.
Oh, that's awesome. With so much growth over these last 11 years, what's the part of your investor journey that you're personally the most proud of?
The fact we can say we have 6 unicorns today. I mean, I never in my life thought we would get there in 2017. It's been 8 years, and it shows we're putting our money where it should be, and we're doing great. So I'm really proud. But also, I couldn't do this alone. My team's incredible. And our founders do all the hard work,
Yeah. Now, when we talked last time in 2021, things were skyrocketing. Like, things were moving. The ecosystem was sort of explosive at that exact time. And we've certainly gone through some peaks and valleys between 2021 and today. And I'm just curious, like, how would you describe the current state of the venture ecosystem?
It's hard to fundraise for funds right now. I don't know if it's because everyone thinks they're starting a fund or what. The market's kind of tough. We're definitely, everyone's been talking about the impending recession. I mean, I don't know if you realize
I thought
this.
We just got out of the recession.
I don't know if you realize we've been in the recession for 5 years, maybe more.
2023 sucks.
Yeah. So, I mean, people are losing jobs, and this is the best time to invest in entrepreneurs. So I hope those funds who are, able to succeed and raise, it's more important than ever. This is the time we build, we rebuild, we solve all the problems in society with entrepreneurs. It's truly the only hope. And so this is the best time, truly, to invest in entrepreneurs. So I think when I look at all the problems in the world, I think, oh, cool. Well, great. This is a good time. We're going to find a lot of opportunity here. So I hope everybody does keep investing, and I hope those funds who are trying to raise stick with it. Don't give up. Just keep going. Raise SPVs if you can't. Shut it down early or extend the runway, whatever you need to do to get that money and invest in the next entrepreneurs. This is where we find them.
Jessie, as we come to a close on the podcast, I'm curious, is there any quote or any saying or a line, could be from family, from friends, a book, any quote that you try to live your life by, or that kind of pops itself up every now and again?
I mean, I'm a mom of 3. I'm working. I try to do it all. It's impossible. And I just say 80% of success is just showing up. And there's days where I'm super over prepared, and there's days where I'm just not. And I just always say, I just have to get there. I just have to get there and show up, and it'll be fantastic. But I think showing up, especially in terms of this conversation, is really important today because we need to connect in person. I think Zoom is a great tool, but you need in-person communities to build companies and to create. So I think just prioritize that.
If you could give a special shout out to anyone in the world that's made a monumental impact on your life, who would it be, and why do you want to give them the shout out?
This is controversial in my household. I am obsessed with Howard Schultz. I started my first company in a Starbucks. I've read all of his books. I've listened to his Acquired podcast and all his interviews. He built an amazing business. I think also, I just love coffee. So I just think he's incredible. Huge shout out. That's someone that I just admire. I would love to meet one day.
Jessie, what are you most excited about for 2026?
Okay, this is not where you thought it was going. I recently reinvigorated my collection of Archie comic books. And I have been to 5 comic book stores in the last 48 hours. I'm going to be honest with you. And I dropped some change on eBay. And I have a great collection. And here's the thing. You'll go into a comic book store and you'll ask for Archie comics and they don't care. They don't like Archie comics. They're like, no one buys these. I'm like, that's because I'm going to buy them all. And they're going to increase in value. And I just saw that the movie's coming out in 2 years. And I'm like, it's all going to work out.
It's happening.
My kids got really into Pokemon and I can recognize, like, I can tell you if it's an original. I can tell you if it's a fake. I can tell you about the shadows. I can tell you what's valuable, what's not, the holograms, whatever. And I was like, wait, why am I doing this for my kids? Like, I've gotten so into this. Like, I have a collection that I haven't opened the box since, I was in 5th grade, but I have it and I got it out. And now I have like a legit collection. I'm actually going to go later today to the Comic Bug in Manhattan Beach. And if you ever want to talk comics, I also have like a mediocre collection of Wonder Woman comics. I would love to talk comics. So that's my passion right now. And I'm loving it. And it's like a fun hobby.
Jessie, this was such a great episode. I was not expecting that at all. Thank you so much for making it down to the studio today. Where can people find you? What's the best way? I think that, doing the kind of pitch days is such an amazing opportunity. Where do you want people to find or learn more about Halogen?
I mean, you can find me on Instagram at Jessie C. Draper. You can follow Halogen as well, Halogen VC on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. We go to our website. We also have just like a general application you can just send in and we will meet with you. It is halogenvc.com. So we're accessible. Just find one of the team members.
Awesome. Well, Jessie, thank you again for coming. And everyone listening at home, I'm Sean Goldfaden from Coefficient Labs, and this is Demo Day. Peace, guys.
Woo!
Oh my gosh, sorry.